Hello, Gunpla fans. This is Speed Bahar, and today for you guys, I have for you a kaiju of a Gunpla today because we are looking at the Gundam base's metal injection high grade Universal Century Psycho Gundam. And yes, this is a very well known kit in the franchise and throughout the Gundam universe, of course, because this is one of the literal biggest Gundams in the known franchise because it literally towers over most mobile suits ever known, and that's of course not including its other variations, of course. But yes, today we are looking at the G-Base's latest version of this, no joke, over 20-year-old model. And yes, this mold of the Psycho Gundam is literally over 20 years old because it was originally released back in 2004. So yes, that is how old this unit is, guys, or of course specifically the mold. But this version of it is actually not a really isn't a bad version, honestly. I had fun building the G base variant because normally when we're talking G base stuff, it's normally either going to be a full chrome or metallic version or a clear kit, which well we know many fans have mixed feelings about. But in this case, actually, I don't think it was bad at all in this one because as you guys can see here, it's not all clear parts, actually, surprising enough. No, for those who are wondering, there are parts, of course, but mainly just the red sections, as you can see here, here, of course, on the shield. But everything else, no, it's all black and metallic parts, which actually I liked in a lot of ways for this kit because, for example, like the hands you see here, guys, normally for the regular unit, it would be in white, but in this version, it's in silver. And honestly, I think that looks really nice for the Psycho Gundam. It really does. I truly believe so. It just looks like a lot better. And honestly, even for this older kid, it's a lot of fun. It wasn't bad at all. I didn't have any issues with assemblage, no parts breaking, and don't worry, I didn't have any issues, like I said, with the clear parts or anything like that. And honestly, the only thing I had to do with a little extra was some paintwork, which honestly, it is an older UC/Zeta series kit, so I'm not too surprised there because I have built a few of those in the past, and well, each one of them usually needed a little extra paintwork. And in this case, if you're wondering because of the age and such, how many stickers and silvers did you need? Well, actually, you don't really have to worry too much here because the Psycho Gundam, mainly the focus of the stickers was pretty much the gold trim here, the shoulders, and such like that. Parts like these here are plastic. Same with the ones in the back. And really, not much else. Everything else was already color separate, minus small little details on the back and verniers and such, which, for like UC kits, that's a pretty common one you got to do and such. Other than that, yeah, everything came out pretty easily out of the box, pretty much. And even for its age, it's not a bad kit. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, the size of it is still surprises me, honestly, because it is almost the equivalent of a 1/100 kit and such, and towers even some of them as well. But it was a lot of fun and such. Now, of course, friends, before we get into articulation, I decided why don't we go into size comparisons first, friends, because I'm going to need a little bit of room. Because as you guys can see, I didn't put the box art in the back like I normally do, mainly because I needed enough room for this. So first, let's do the size comparisons. So let's move him back just a bit. And I decided to do a number of scales so you guys can see, starting with an SD, specifically a cross silhouette RX, as you guys can see, literally towers over it. A 144 RX, still towers. And remember, these are the same scale, too. My 1/100 double Zeta, now note, of course, this isn't the Bandai version, but as you can see, and lastly, will be a very well known and Psycho Gundam inspired unit, and one I recently built not too long ago, the high grade Cosmic Era Destroy Gundam. And as you guys can see, yes, these two kaiju beasts are so big, but surprisingly enough, now, of course, note this is without the backpack. Psycho Gundam is actually still taller than the Destroy Gundam. No joke. I thought they were about the same in height. Now, of course, like I said, that's not including the backpack setup, but to the head, no, the Destroy Gundam actually reaches about, if I'm right, about close to the shoulders on Psycho. So Psycho's still a bit bigger. Yeah. So as you guys can see there, my friends, that is a big older model, but that's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes them fun and such. Now, did I have any issues with this model, as I already mentioned? No. Assemblage came pretty well. No loose parts, no cracks, and everything's holding up pretty well, as you guys can see. I mean, there is some looseness with like the leg setup, but remember, of course, that's where you transform it. Now, my friends, let's look into some of the articulation for the Psycho Gundam, starting with the arm. Of course, moving this out of the way, you have full 360 rotation there. You have full 360 here, of course. And as for such things as the arm bend, you can go pretty much about that high with them and such. And as for the hand, as you guys can see, it is fully articulated. And in fact, all the fingers are fully articulated as well, which is very rare to see in high grades, honestly. And of course, being how old this mold is, so it's definitely a rare to see, but it's fun. And it's definitely really cool. And so far, I haven't had any issues with them or anything like popping out or anything. They hold in pretty well with the ball jointed setup. And what's cool is because of the transformation feature, of course, you can actually pull this joint out if you want to add a little bit more articulation, if you want, of course. Now for the legs, as I already mentioned, there is parts. Oops, sorry about that. Sections here on the back here. You guys can see these gray sections. That's the mechanism you need when you transform the Psycho Gundam over to its mobile armor mode, which I'll show you in a minute. But as for the legs themselves, with some movement, you got this high. Oh, there's that too, if you want. I always keep having that problem with that. You can bend the leg all the way this far, and of course you can add the extension here when it's not plugged in there. And as for the feet, they're on ball joints, so it's just your standard setup there, of course, when you're not using the extra articulated points, of course. Now, what about waist? Because as you've seen, I haven't shown it off, and there's a good reason for that. The reason is, well, the Psycho Gundam here doesn't actually have waist articulation in the literal sense, because well, the reason is because when you transform it, well, you literally got to split the body in half, so to speak. And that's not a joke. You literally have to divide the front and back sections open to give the transformation completion for the Psycho Gundam's mobile armor mode. And yeah, so I mean that's not a. I mean it's understandable then why it doesn't have it then. But as for like the head, it's got the full standard head rotation capability. And because of transformation, you can literally duck the head downwards if you want. I mean, for me, it just seems to pop in there once in a while. I don't know why. But yeah. And that's about it for that. As for, like, I know many might ask, what about accessories? Well, if you're hoping to see a giant beam saber or gun with this unit, I wouldn't bet on it, literally, because this Gundam doesn't have those weapons. It doesn't. Remember, friends, the hands, the chest, all that stuff, all qualifies as its guns and such. And you can use beam sabers, of course, if you wanted to, for effect pieces in the hands, I believe, and such like that. So no, there aren't any actual weapons, minus the giant shield you see here, of course, which is used for later. Other than that, the only actual accessories you will have left over are just port covers and this extra piece for the shield once you do the transformation setup. And that's literally it for that. And speaking of the transformation, my friends, if you'll give me 1 minute, I will now transform the Psycho Gundam for you, my friends. And there you have it, friends. This is the Psycho Gundam's mobile armor mode. And honestly, friends, the Psycho Gundam has always had a very interesting mobile armor since, I mean, to be fairly honest, friends, it literally reminds me of a building. I don't know why. It just always reminded me of a building whenever I've seen it. It with wings. I mean, if you turned it like downwards on its back, it would look more like a bigger starship or something like that. I could see, because we're talking about Zeta and their very variety of mobile armors. So, I mean, I could see that. Well, yes, this is its full transformation, and yes, as you saw, you can fully transform it. Though, yes, it is a bit of a challenge. I won't lie, it is a challenge. Oof. But honestly, it's not bad. I've had worse, and honestly, even either bot or a mobile armor form, it's either way, it's cool. Honestly, it's still really cool to see it, and the fact that such an older kit can pull off a full transformation. That was always one thing I liked about certain older units is that you would think for their age they can't do it, they're not able to, because a lot of days now we see parts forming for HGs instead of full transformations. So it was really cool that this unit, of course, has its full transformation capability. So yes, I definitely like it. I definitely enjoyed the build, even for its age. I had no problems with it and such. So honestly, if you want my first opinion, my friends, yes, I could easily recommend the Psycho Gundam, whether you get the G-base versions or even the retail version. And of course, if you happen to have already picked up or will pick up the Psycho Mark II, you sort of, you're going to want the first version to go along with it. And if you happen to be a fan of Zeta Gundam or the Mark II, it'll be a fun mobile suit to add with it and such like that. So, yes, that is it for today, my friends. I thank you always for coming. I do hope you're enjoying your hobby, of course. And since the holidays are coming about, I do hope you all have a number of fun models and plum out under your Christmas tree this year, or the holiday you, of course, prefer. I thank you always for coming, and I will see you all next time.